I want to go out and I want to say, man, if I offended anyone, just last week on the show, I want to apologize because that's not what I do this for. I'm not in this thing to offend anyone. My thing is this here. I know my role. I know where I'm at, in this stage of my life. I remember working Cody Rhodes, and when I worked Cody Rhodes, I was like, man, I can't work this kid. But people may not think, may not realize it or anything. I've never asked for an angle to do anything in this business, throughout my whole career. I've never went to the office and say, hey, man, what kind of programs am I going to be in or anything. The only time that I ever did that, that I can remember, because I've been telling people that I never did that before. The only time I can remember ever doing that was when I did the angle with Cody Rhodes.
You requested that.
I requested that.
And why was that?
Well, because I always thought Cody was, a guy that could work on the next level. I always thought Cody, could be world championship material. So I say, let me go out here and, show the world, how good Cody Rhodes is. Maybe working that character, thing, kind of definitely, who is that? Dallas? No, that's not Dallas. I'll give him a call back. Kind of, made him a little, sour about, the business and whatnot. But I always thought Cody Rhodes was, the dream. I thought he was the heir apparent. I thought he was the guy that was going to, take that, baton and go to the next level with it. He was a guy that was a part of Legacy, with Randy and Batista as
Ted
well.
DiBiase.
Exactly. So I like, man, this guy has the tools to make it to the next level. So I said, let me go out here and work with him and put him over. Make him shine like new money, and lay down for him right in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3, at the end of the day, because it's not about me, It's not about me. That's what that thing was all about. And what I said about Kazarian and what I said about Daniels, I don't throw no shade on those guys. I don't disrespect neither one of those guys. Kazarian, he's been around for quite a while. Daniels, he's been around for quite a while. And then I went back and looked at the roster list one more time, and I saw Brandy Rhodes, her name was in red, and Christopher Daniels, his name was in red as well. So maybe Christopher Daniels is added on as a backstage, talent, is someone that's working from a producer standpoint. That just was my opinion. I'm not throwing any shade on these guys or anything like that. If they still wanted to wrestle and if that's something that they want to do, fine. But I just thought from a business perspective to bring in guys like that will be brought in as minds to help this younger talent, this next generation move to the next level of professional wrestling. That is it.
Well, I think that you are right. I think it came out later that Christopher Daniels is going to have some sort of backstage role. I'm not sure about Frankie Kazarian, but I think Chris Daniels and Billy Gunn are going to be a couple people backstage who are going to kind of try to put their minds to use more so than their bodies.
No, I mean, it's time. I mean, to put the mind to use. I mean, like I said, Christopher Daniels. He started way back when, back when I did back in WCW. I mean, he's done the TNA thing, the ROH thing, Japan. This guy have a wealth of knowledge to give back to these young guys. The Fallen Angel created his own thing, man. The Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, he created that. He created that ore. Do you know how many young people, wonder, how can I do that as well? Christopher Daniels can teach those guys how to do that. So that was my point, and that was my point only. AEW just added Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega now going to be playing a role as on-air, wrestler, as well as executive vice president. That means, man, I'm calling some shots around here, and check's good.
Check's real good. But, he did say, he was like, WWE made me a great offer. I was ready to sign with WWE, and then this AEW deal came, and they They godfathered him. They Vito Corleoned him. They made him an offer that he just couldn't refuse.
Hey, man.
And he went and signed with the company. Do you think, though, this obviously he fits in with those guys. He's worked with those guys. He and Jericho seem like they're continuing their feud that's happened over the last couple of years. But there was a part of me that wanted to see Kenny Omega in WWE and see what he could do coming in as one of the top stars there, like AJ.
Hey, man, you got to go where the money's at. Sometimes it ain't about, wrestling on a certain stage or anything for some people. Sometimes it's just about, where am I going to be happy, more importantly than anything? Where can I, still be able to balance things, and sometimes it's, man, I want to do things my way. That's just the way it is sometimes, I think, in life. Wanting to do things your way is very important because you only live once, man. You only go through this thing once that we know of. And to do it your way is very, very important. So I don't blame Kenny Omega for signing, and definitely I'm not surprised that he signed with this new company, AEW, because, it could be a much smoother path, especially in the beginning. Right now, we don't know if these guys going to be doing, 100 dates a year, 50, 200. That right there going to weigh in a whole lot. The one thing, what do you think the one thing could have made Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, sign on for this thing? What's the one thing you think?
What you mean? Why you think that they all got together?
No, not why they got, not why they did it, but what's the one thing that make you think all of these guys, say I'm all in?
Well, I think it's two things: money and control, right? I mean, obviously the Khan family's putting a lot of money behind it. You can tell that just from the production of their press conferences. There's money behind this thing.
Yeah, there's money behind it.
So I think money is great, but also the chance to call your own shots. All those guys are shot callers now.
Man, I don't think so, man. What I think it is, money is it could be money from a different perspective. I remember this golf gear company came to me some years back. It was probably one of the worst mistakes I ever made, and I didn't take the deal, and I wanted money up front, and they said, no, we can't give you any money up front, but we can give you some stock. And I was like, nah, I want the money, and I wish I had taken the stock. You know what I mean?
Stock's doing pretty well right now.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, that's one thing that could have motivated these guys, because that's not something that's, we're working on for today. That's something that we're working on for tomorrow. And that's something that we know if we got stock, we know we're going to have to work our butts off to build this thing. It's like Facebook, you know what I'm saying? It's all ours if it goes big. But we got to put the work in, and I think something like that for, young guys like, the Bucks, these guys definitely revolutionized the way the business have been looked at. Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, for what he's done. Just in ring alone, Kenny Omega has, not one promo as far as Kenny Omega goes. So this guy has made you look at him and recognize how good he is from what he does in the ring. Do you remember Kenny Omega promo?
I was just trying to think of one. I don't remember one Kenny Omega promo.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how. When people like that, get your attention. When you hear about someone before you ever see them, and that's when you know how big someone is. And that's what Kenny Omega is, working off of. What people, how people feel when they hear Kenny Omega's name. His name rings, when you say it. And I never knew who Kenny Omega. Like I said, I never saw him, but I knew Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega. I've heard of Kenny Omega. And when that happens, that means you shocking the world, man. Somebody have taken notice. So big ups to Kenny Omega. I tell you what, I've seen some of Kenny Omega's matches, and the guy can go.
He's top class.
He's definitely top notch as far as his ability to go out into the ring and take you on a roller coaster ride and make you feel a certain way when you walk away from the arena. That's what I talk about more importantly than anything. It's easy to go out and do all of the moves and whatnot and get the this is awesome chant, but to make fans feel a certain way when they're walking away from that arena. They might be holding their stomach because, the butterflies, they can still feel it for the, because of, the adrenaline, they had, the euphoria, that they were on, when they were watching that match. And that's what, guys like, I think Kenny Omega does, man, because I remember, watching a couple of his matches and to make me say, man, this guy's pretty good. Hey, that says a whole lot to make me say, hey man, this guy's pretty good. Kenny Omega is this guy's pretty good. He's pretty good.